the coffee.
Okay, yes, it's Stella's birthday here, so she's celebrating.
All by my lonesome.
Oops, there goes the neighborhood. Okay.
No.
Oops, what?
There goes the neighborhood. Maybe
just
your
saying,
neighborhood.
I'm just joking around, Stella. Okay, what? Paper? I don't know, do we need paper?
No, I didn't spill the wine.
No. Yes, she's
No,
just
I
really-
dropped the thing.
It's her birthday. She's got every right to destroy things. Okay, never mind that. We've got Pete Otis here. Pete, welcome.
Hi, Hugh. It's very
Hi.
good to be here today.
Great to have you here. And you,
Stella.
brought,
And it's a short notice, too, which was great.
and you brought your friend Norman Lucien as well, who's going to be playing the harmonica at some point. So.
And you know what? I'd really like to get a shot, if we can, of the tools of harmonicas
Oh, look
that
at
he's
that.
got there. He's got a belt full of them.
Can
Yeah,
we show that?
Tim-
Yeah, he's got the. Is that a harmonica belt or is it just a tool belt that you
told
put?
to be, no, it's
harmonicas
actually a
in?
harmonica belt. So
Okay.
it's
Very
it's,
cool. And I like your
Fantastic.
little necklace, too.
So I can be on stage and whatever they decide to play, I can just switch very quickly and
That's cool.
Very cool.
tumble around.
Okay.
Now, Pete, you've had a long history as a musician. You've been playing with a lot of people over the years. You also write songs. So, you tell us.
Well, I actually haven't been playing as long as I love music. I've been involved in the industry, in different aspects since I was very young, and I started working in Yorkville back in 1965 at a club back then called the Purple Onion Club, which was one of really the top clubs at the time, and I just loved the music back then.
Where was the Purple Onion?
The Purple Onion was right at Yorkville and Avenue Road, and it actually had the patio that was on Yorkville, and the front entrance to the club was on Avenue Road. And I mean, I just loved the music at that time. It seemed like the world was changing, but I was just too shy to actually go into the performance aspect of it. So I wrote songs on the side. I mean, that was my love, and from there, I went on. I did all sorts of different things, but basically, I started working for the Society of Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers, which is SOCAN, and because I loved the whole idea of songwriting, and while I was there, I wrote songs every year, and I was on the road for them. And
Now, tell the audience who you wrote songs for. Was there anybody that stood out?
well, I actually wrote songs for people like Ned, who was your previous guest that was here. My songs were so personal that I never had that, I don't know what you'd call it. I guess I called it courage. But, everybody comes from a different point in life, and I came from a different point. And it took me a while to get to the point I'm at now. But it's very enjoyable, and I love it. I've written songs with about 5 or 6 different people, but it was only because I had this very shy personality. And I actually went to 3 hospitals because I had a speech impediment. I couldn't speak at all. And the way out for me was actually to write lyrics and music. So like when Ned was talking about the creative aspect of it, from self to do a healing, I mean, I totally understand. And I usually don't talk about my songs and where they came from, but so many of them come from like a loss of love in one way or another. That's probably the main source of inspiration for songwriters, I would say.
So what happened? What was what you had? You couldn't speak, and you had to go to hospital.
I had a real stuttering problem.
When you were like
speech
how old?
impediment.
Yeah, and actually when I was like a teenager, and it went on for quite a while. Like a lot of people, they just have one that kind of lasts a short while, but mine was, I guess, more of a severe situation. But you know what? I just want to say that it was the most romantic time in my life.
What do you mean?
You know what? It's just like your sensitivities are just
heightened.
are a little heightened. It's hard to explain, but you're really more sensitive to other people's pain and their like problems in life. I mean,
And their handicap.
and their handicaps and different things, and even using the word handicap it's not really the right word, but I understand.
In the sense.
Yeah,
what
in the
I'm
sense,
saying.
and it just like it got me closer to people, and people would kind of share their feelings with me more. So that's why I call it, would call it like a romantic period. But like it wasn't sad. So I went to 3 hospitals because of it.
Yeah.
And really, what ended up happening, it was music that pulled me through it. So that's what a bit of a stumbling block to actually getting out and performing my songs. But like the writing aspect was always there, and I wrote songs my whole life. And when I had a chance to retire from SoulCan, it was the time of my life where I could start to deal with songwriting for myself and also to promote other people, that were good songwriters. I believe there's all sorts of great songwriters in Canada. And so, I started some projects, and one of them was called Songtown, where I would go into a different area of the city, and my plans are to go across the country with the concept, and do collaboration CD of the songwriters in that area. And I thought that one of the things today, since it is your birthday, I would bring you some gifts, which I have
Thank you.
Songtown Volume 1, called The Pape Sound, and Songtown Volume 2,
Look at Stella.
And,
Stella's getting presents today.
and also
I love
a few of my own songs.
Here's one, Stella.
Yeah.
Working with the cameras. Songtown. So that's Pape.
Yes, this is Pape, and this is the Danforth, and I went across, like from the corners of the Danforth, and I searched for songwriters. So it's a collaboration of different songwriters, and I have a love
Should be
of that,
interesting.
to try and promote that. The third one is I'm going out of town, and I'm doing the area around London, Ontario, which includes songwriters from
this your
Strathroy,
newest?
Sarnia. Yes, that's about 2 weeks old.
So
2
this
weeks
is the
old.
newest that
That's
you were
3
talking
weeks.
about on Facebook. The release,
Yes.
the new
It's
release.
shrink wrapped, Pete.
Well, this one here, I actually went to Nashville.
It's a CD condom.
Yeah.
Shrink wrap.
Well, they would have to be smaller than that. But anyway, yes, I actually did that about 3 weeks ago when I was in Nashville, and I thought I'd put a few of my tunes together. And
Yeah,
so that's
that's what
what I
you were
took
talking
down
about.
there. So you can have all those.
And I was, thank you so much.
Oh, it's your birthday.
It sounds like a great concept, the Songtown thing. And I can't help but notice that you brought in Danforth and
Yep.
Pape,
Yes,
which was a little subtitle on a Rush song once.
it was.
It was actually, but I didn't live in Toronto at the time, so I didn't know what that meant, Danforth and Pape. I thought it was just a couple of little mythical creatures or something like that.
It's the CrossFit.
Yeah, the cross streets.
Yes.
I figured it out.
Crossroads.
I figured it out when I came to town. But Pete, I want to ask you before, like when you were in that sensitive stage,
Yes.
you're calling romantic stage. Yeah, you had the speech impediment. Was that the Yorkville days? Were you in Yorkville?
Yes,
at that
yes, it was in the Yorkville days. That was 1965, and but it lasted for a while.
Now, I want to ask you what it was like to be in that environment, because, first of all, what part of town did you live in at the time? I'm just trying to get a
Well,
picture
I
of what
lived
your
around
days-
Pape and Danforth.
Now there you
So
go.
there you go. So it wasn't very far, and I just loved the scene down there. Well, it was really the music that really attracted me, and I got a job at the Purple Onion Club, which was one of the happening spots. They had a band there called Luke and the Apostles, and I became friends with, like with people like Mike
I know the
McKenna,
name.
and I just loved the music there, and it was very, very difficult to get into these clubs at the time because it was packed and et cetera. So, I mean, working there to me was, I would do it for free, but I happened to get paid for it. So,
So that must have been awesome. So
Yeah, it was
like,
great.
What would your day look like? Like, were you living with your parents and you'd get up and take the
I'd be
subway
living
in,
with
or-
my parents, and at the time I was going to East York Collegiate,
Yeah.
and everybody thought, well, what is this guy doing in Yorkville? And they took me down to the principal's office and questioned me, like, was I the guy bringing, like, was I the guy that brought the polka dot shirts to East York? You know what I mean? And all this
Polka
kind of
dot shirts.
and the
That
paisley.
was
that
the
a
beginning of the
sin?
slippery slope.
Yeah,
It
yes.
started with the polka dot shirts.
It started with the polka dot shirts and the paisley shirts, and so people, it was like a new thing, but it was so exciting there And the people that were in Yorkville at that time, there was so much
talent.
so much talent and creativity, and people would just come into the club, and they were all, like the energy of people like Neil Young and David Clayton Thomas when they were 19 and 20 years old. It's hard to describe when they weren't big stars and they were just people, on the sidewalk there, and they were playing their guitar. Yeah. So I felt very fortunate of being there, in that environment. I loved it.
But you're saying they had an energy you're saying they had a particular energy, even at that age, and they weren't stars yet, or?
They had a particular energy at that age, and it was like magnets, and they would run into other people with the same energy. Yeah. And the whole Yorkville scene became this energy of all these people coming in. And you know what? Like, they weren't all in music either. There were people that were into fashion, into film, into television, and they were all young and they wanted to make something out of themselves. And, they had all these dreams. And it was just a great environment, to be a kid there like myself. I mean,
hey, why don't you do a song? I want to come back, ask you a couple questions about all the trouble you caused at East York Collegiate, hanging out in Yorkville and bringing those polka dot shirts.
Well, now, did they consider that at the time a venial sin or a mortal sin? Because you know how Catholics categorize everything depending on the level of sinning.
I'm not sure what kind of sin it was.
Probably a venial sin. 2 confessions, no Hail Marys.
The principal would bring me into the office to question me, but my English teacher would say, "Where did you get that shirt?" And she would be down to Colonnade buying the same polka dot shirt.
So she actually liked it.
Depends.
So she was part of the problem too.
She was part of the problem, my teacher.
Okay, Pete, what would you like to do for us? We'd love to hear a song. Even though we want to keep talking too, but we got you all wired up there for.
I'd like to do a song called "Last Teardrop," and I'm going to dedicate this one to Ned. So when he watches the show, he'll know. I'll explain a little bit about it very quickly. When my mother was dying at the hospital, I never really played for my family, my mother, my brother, anybody. It was just kind of one of those things. And when I went there, somebody told me that the last thing they lose when they're dying is their hearing. So I went in there and I started to, I started to sing this song, because even though she was lying there, and I thought, well, she can hear me.
Yes.
And so I started singing this song, and it was almost impossible to get through the song. I would cry, through every word of the song. But at the end of the song, she had this one teardrop. And so I called the song, so I got inspired to write the song called "Last Teardrop," and it really is about someone that's leaving somebody else. And
do you find that when your parents are dying, I know I did a last act for him. It's like your last act to give them dignity, right? And I know, like, when my father died, he was in the hospital. And when you die in the hospital, they take you into the hospital morgue. Right? I didn't want that to happen, so I had arranged for the funeral home to come and pick him up directly. And I knew my mother would freak out if she saw him zipped up in a black bag. So I had them leave the bag open here up. And that was one of the last acts I did for him. Like.
Yeah. Well, that's where these inspirations come from sometimes, and I don't usually ever talk about where they actually come from, because it's a personal side, and it ends up being a love song because there's no mention of.
But personal things, a lot of people can relate. So by all means, do tell.
Well, that's what's happening now. I have quite a few people that seem to be in that same wavelength. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a song called "Last Teardrop," and do with my friend Norman. I'm going somewhere I haven't been. Hope we pass each other's way once again. forget that sparkle in your eye. And I'll love you until my last teardrop. Forever, always on my mind. You're something special, you're one of a kind. My love for you will never ever die. Never forget that sparkle in your eye. No, no, no. Never forget that sparkle in your eye. And I'll love you until my last teardrop. Lucien. So I'm going somewhere I haven't been. Pass each other's way once again. Lonely days, lonely nights go by. Never forget that sparkle in your eye. No, no, no. Never forget that sparkle in your eye. And I'll love you until my last tear. La 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 my last teardrop dry. Thank you, folks.
Very, very pretty. I know
Thank
it's
you.
for your mom. And yeah,
Well,
very
it's
pretty.
for anybody that likes a love song.
Yeah, but it's just love. Doesn't matter who it's for.
That's true. That's true.
Very lovely
Yeah.
though,
Thank
and
you.
the
Thank you.
and the harmonica makes it sound extra special.
The harmonica always brings out the tears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And this is a very emotional day for me, and I feel like
You should have seen what happened before the show started. She doesn't even know all of it yet.
Tell us a little.
Oh, I can't tell you all of it.
why not?
Oh, it's just because it's a show. Because we're just having a good
We'll
time
hang
right
on
now.
for after the show then.
But you know what? Wednesdays around here are always a little funny when I'm on.
Yeah.
And Pete, like I always used to use this old standing joke. I know your impediment was real, but I used to use an old joke.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
And I had a speech impediment. I used to have trouble mouthing the word no. Sorry. I had to add that.
Okay.
The woman who can't say no.
Unfortunately, she didn't visit any
I
hospitals.
started saying no. Very. I heard that too. But anyway, I didn't want to offend you, but honest to God, as soon as you said that speech impediment, that joke came in my mind.
No, that's
So-
good. That's good. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. I do. I
Yeah,
like that
and
a
you
lot.
know what? One guy actually said to me, he
Yeah.
didn't get it. He said, "Really? You speak perfectly. I never thought you would have had a speech impediment."
Well, I've never heard that one before, but maybe I'll steal it.
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, you know how many people steal
Oh,
my
sure.
stuff?
Do they?
Oh yeah.
Well, my trouble is always saying yes. Too much.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I had trouble mouthing the word no. What kind of
Hey Pete, I want to ask you because it's funny you're mentioning you were hanging out in Yorkville, right?
Yeah.
You're getting in trouble at high school. Now, 65.
Yeah.
Was your hair long or short in 65?
Well, it was probably quite normal. I guess I was fighting with my parents. My hair was long.
In 65?
Well, I was in Yorkville. I mean, you know.
I know, but so
That's
I
the
mean
cool
that's
place.
because I remember. Do you remember? You guys must remember. It was like there was people had short hair.
Yep.
Then the next thing you know, everybody had long hair, and it was a big deal. And I remember when I made the
It was a big
decision
deal.
to grow my hair long, and I'm not as
Yeah.
I'm a little younger than you
Yeah.
guys, but it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was like you got to tell the parents. By the time I did it, it was sort of like, everybody was doing it. But I remember there was one guy in my high school, and he started, or not high school. I was still in public school.
Grade school,
and
yeah.
he had to grow his hair long. He had to because he was in a play, and it was part of the character. So that's a great excuse, right? So he's walking around
There's a
school
but.
now with long hair. All the girls are going after this guy. And the next thing you know, everybody's got to grow their hair just to keep the race fair, right?
Well, you did have to keep it fair.
the race?
That was part of the whole trip.
Yeah. So like,
Polka dot shirt and long hair, man, I had it made.
so is that why you had the long hair? Is that another reason why you got called to the principal's office? You're one of these.
No,
troublemaking hippies?
they were mostly concerned of this fear that was going around Toronto about drugs.
Oh,
And,
there's a theory
what a
about
myth.
that.
So there were drugs. There were some drugs in East York, and they thought, where are these drugs coming from? Well, we know that guy Peter is working in Yorkville, so let's interview him.
Oh.
Which, honestly, I was an innocent kid. I was probably a little younger than most of the crowd there because I was 16, and probably the crowds were about 18, and the people in the bands were usually about 18, 19.
Yeah.
So I was on the young side even of the time. I just happened to be there.
Well, you were kind of a bit of in your high
pioneer.
school environment. You were probably a sort of like you were a little ahead of the
A little
curve.
rebel, kind of little rebel
Yeah.
side, and that kind of aspect. Yeah, it was me.
Now, were you playing music at that point? You were working at the club where these other.
Well, I was
acts
playing
were
clarinet in the high school,
Right.
but mostly just because I thought it was an easy credit. I didn't really get into the music until I got into university, and
Easy credits. I love that
it
because I
wasn't
remember
it
trying to
wasn't
get
a, no,
easy credits.
No, it wasn't an easy credit at all. But like I wish I were at that particular time a little more focused on it because I didn't realize what music, how powerful it can be in someone's life for healing, for all sorts of things. And I kind of discovered that a little later. But yeah, I was playing some music. And as well as when at that particular point I was kind of running the Purple Onion Club, and being a kid at that age down there running it, I had to hire all the waitresses and waiters. And
So you had a lot of power.
yeah, I did, and I was like a big shot because if you could get into the Purple Onion Club, and if you knew me and I got you in, it was kind of a thing.
So did they have to literally go through you? Or you through them
No.
before they got hired?
No.
You didn't use that?
Well, they did have to. I didn't use the same lines, no.
Because you could have gotten laid a
no,
lot.
no,
Let's face it.
I was an innocent, nice kid.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? We don't have a lot of time left, Pete. I'm looking at the clock here. I can't believe how fast
We can play.
The show is going, and we still have more guests that we have to get on the show here. And I just want to talk about Yorkville and all that kind of stuff. But you probably got some new stuff that you want to talk about. I don't know if you got these. This record's just 2 weeks old. You just came back from Nashville.
Well, I just came back from Nashville at the start of June. I was down there for the Nashville Songwriters Festival, and I did 3 gigs down there, which was fantastic, and I met lots of people down there. I'm trying to make a connection between the songwriters in Canada and the songwriters in Nashville, and to take away some of this, wow, it's Nashville thing. Like they're there and they're willing to work with us, and as long as I can organize something for other songwriters, I'm happy doing that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I am doing is I have the Songtown CD series, and I've also started a series called Honoring Our Own, which is a series for musicians by musicians. And we've done, we usually try to do a show a month, and we pick a musician that's really accomplished a lot, but never has received, the stature, etc., that they should.
Yeah.
So we've done shows from Michael Fonfara and Bob Segarini, etc., and so we have a party for them. And that's really taken off.
I think I'm on your mailing list for that. I think
Yeah, well, you've
emails.
probably seen that. Well, I'm the guy who started that as well.
Yeah.
And like the whole concept is to have a party for the person and to give them all the money at the door as a present, and other gifts, and we give them a plaque and all that. And
So
it's
you
a real fun time.
recognize
Yeah,
them.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so they're recognized. So I'm involved with that as well. Now we've taken a couple of months off now for the summer, but we're back in September, October, November.
Cool.
And it's the last Tuesday of each month, and I do that with this fantastic person I work with, and his name is Jack Tasse.
Oh, I know Jack. He's been on the show.
Do you know
here, too.
Jack?
Yeah.
Jack's a bass player, but he's also involved with that as well. So I'm doing that, and I'm doing my own writing. I'm in the studio this month. I'm recording some more songs, and I'll have a CD release party probably in early October. So things are pretty busy for me right now.
Well, we're going to have to get you back because
I'd love to be
I
back.
feel like we haven't even scratched the surface.
No.
And could we get you back for that CD release? We'd like to do that.
I'd
and
love
maybe
to do
we
that.
should do something with the Honoring Your Own too. We can
Honoring
get-
Your Own is a great
You can talk
Why
about
don't, why don't we
both.
get your artists on here every month, and we'll
Before the
promote the
show.
show,
And we
that'll be
will
part
honor
of
them as
what-
well.
of how to honor these artists.
You know what? I think that's a fantastic
Well,
idea.
not only
Yeah.
have I been trying to get people like Bob Segarini on the
Yeah.
show, because he's a friend of mine too,
Yeah.
but of course Mike.
Yeah.
And there's so many others that I've been trying to get on the show, and
Well, you know what? It's really the perfect thing because the more that we can do for these musicians, I mean, to honor them, exposure, some gifts, it really, really is a wonderful thing because not everybody out there is a superstar, and some of them are suffering, and like giving them like a real fun night is a
sure,
is a
and
big lift.
recognition,
It's
for
an
their
recognition
life
and,
work.
It's an awesome project.
Yeah, so see, if I can be involved with that for somebody else, it makes my life that much
Sure.
richer. Yeah.
I love it.
Can we give a website or something, contact info for you or any of your projects, Pete?
Yeah. Pete Otis. Well, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through my email, which is PeteOtisMusic@hotmail.com.
Okay, what about a website though?
You're on Facebook.
Well, I have www.PeteOtisMusic.com, and the Honoring Our Own. If you go on Facebook, you can either put in Pete Otis or Honoring Our Own.
Is that with the U, like the Canadian way? Honoring?
Yes, it's the U.
Yeah,
yes,
we're
it
not
is the U.
lazy like the Americans. We actually keep
the
the
U.
U.
Yeah.
We love all our American friends.
Yeah.
In fact,
Sure we
I
do.
even like their spelling sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to take a shortcut.
All right,
Great.
Pete. Thanks for coming in. So we got contact information.
Any
it's
last
all
words?
Good. And we're gonna play another
Well, you
one
know
of your
what?
tracks as we
It's
go
just
out.
great to be here, and it's just fantastic. And it's really great that you're promoting talent here in Toronto and around. It's one of the things that I really appreciate the most about the show, and it really means a lot to a lot of people. And sometimes I know for myself when I do volunteer things or other things like that, that you might not get the credit, but it's out there and people are talking. And I wish you both well, and especially you on your birthday. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, Pete Otis and Norman Lucien. Fantastic. We're gonna play one of your tracks now, Pete, and then we're gonna
Coming
come
up.
back with Gabriella Villar, talking about emotional freedom techniques. Finally, Stella, you could be emotionally free once again.
I
That's
just
good.
had one
Yeah.
of the
Can I unplug
techniques.
this?
Yeah. Bang the mic slowly. Okay, we'll be right back.
Slowly.
It's you.
Crazy world we live in. Never know what world we live in.